Hello, savage gentlemen and savage gentlewomen. I don't know exactly what to say there. So it is 9:50 p.m. Costa Rican time. Been working all day on check-ins and a bunch of other stuff that's coming up. Senya's outside pounding away on check-ins. She has a lot more to do than I do, of course. But I'm hoping to change that in the future. Ultimately, I'd love to see the guy side grow to as much as the women's side. And of course, we're still going to keep that cap at 100 people for Savage and Six regular. But it would be nice to have some friendly competition in there for some of the seats for Savage and Six. We've been consistently selling out. But anyway, this isn't like a big promotional thing like Anti-Hero Fitness, blah, blah, blah. You guys do enough of that for me, and I really can't thank you enough. But uh, I wanted to just post something on a little bit about kind of like my fitness journey, and I don't know, maybe it'll help you guys, or maybe it'll just sound like grandiose. That's really not what I'm going for right now. But somebody kind of had mentioned in one of the comments on one of the other videos, it's glad to see you're human too, and I thought that was a really sweet thing to say. But I also wanted to just talk about like my experience in fitness. We're definitely human. Like there's no doubt about that. Senya and I are two living, breathing, sentient beings, and we didn't like we didn't I didn't choose the fitness lifestyle. The fitness lifestyle chose me. And I want to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about my journey, and a little bit about the way that my perspective has changed on fitness as I get older. And maybe it'll provide some insight, or maybe it'll just be me here blathering at 10 o'clock at night as I go on. I'm working on the new Savage and Six website, so I'm trying to get all these things fixed up, and I'm going to streamline the registration process, and got a bunch of really cool things coming down the corner, as well as a surprise, maybe some surprises for the next Savage and Six. But I'll talk about that with Senya. Senya and I are going to do a video tomorrow on a couple of things, and then I'm going to leave you guys with just kind of an optional challenge at the end of it, if I remember after I'm done with my verbal diarrhea. Anyway, okay, nobody's like, I guess what I'm trying to say here, and what the whole theme of this is that like nobody is born being fit, right? My experience with fitness, and I've talked about this with the guys before, is I was a young kid, moved around a ton. My father was a really successful engineer, but had some really serious problems in terms of maybe mental health, you could call it, I guess. Grew up and we I always had everything I wanted, and I always had everything I needed from a physical standpoint. But grew up in a, I won't get too into it because nobody cares, but everybody's got a story, and mine's no important than anybody else's. But grew up in kind of a crazy household with some mental health issues, um, and it was kind of weird growing up. Like I was an awkward kid. I moved around a lot. I'm still an awkward kid. I'm just an older awkward kid. Moved around a lot, and we found ourselves in a place called Newfoundland, Canada. And a lot of Canadians will be familiar, and of course, a lot of Americans will have heard of Newfies. So, born in Toronto, but moved to Newfoundland, and I was a young kid, and I didn't really know too much about fitness. My father played rugby for Canada growing up. I went on to play rugby for Newfoundland at a really young age, and anyway, I guess fitness wasn't like a huge priority to me. I was about It all kind of started when I was about 15 years old, and I was getting on the bus, and there was this guy in the back of the bus in grade 86 who had failed like 100 times, and I remember his name. Well, his nickname was Flector, and he was this huge, tall guy, and I was young. I wouldn't say I was like super confident. I would say I was, I was probably as insecure back then as I am today, which is, like anybody else, pretty insecure. But anyway, back then I was on the bus, and this, kind of an argument shot out, and people were laughing and joking, and it turned into name calling and this and that, and somebody called me a name, and I called him a name back, just trying to pick up for myself and be the cool kid. And we got off the bus, and Flector, who was in grade 86, dragged me off the bus and beat the crap out of me. I think what grade would I have been in? Probably like I don't even know, grade 6 or 7. And dragged me off the bus and dumped me into the snow and beat the crap out of me, and then rubbed my face in the snow, and kicked me and called me fatty. And like I'm laughing now because I know it sounds traumatic, but it's actually one of the most formative experiences of my entire life because it led me to where I was today. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm covered in snow, you know, it's freezing cold. I go inside and I looked in the mirror and I looked in the mirror because he called me fat. I'd never been called fat before. And I looked in the mirror and I pulled up my shirt. And I kind of noticed that I had, you know, these, I had like, I was a little chubby. I liked candy. I still like candy. And I had kind of boobs. And the guy looked at, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, man, I am fat. And it was funny because my whole journey started from this massive traumatic experience and the realization, or not the realization, but the belief that was passed on to me from somebody else. And was I fat? I was a little overweight, but I wasn't super fat. But I'd been called fat, so therefore, in my head, now I'm fat. So I looked in the mirror, and then that day I went outside and I got some running shoes, and I remember it like it was yesterday. It's one of the most vivid experiences of my life, and I ran uphill, all the way up Spruce Hill Road, up to the top of the hill, all the way up past the hill, and I ran for probably like 5K, and I stopped, and I probably fell 100 times in that run because it was winter, and I puked my guts up, and I walked home, and then the next day I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again. And before you know it, I was running pretty often, and I was starting to slim down, and I was still extremely extremely insecure. I later moved to athletics. I picked up rugby shortly thereafter. I started working out shortly thereafter. And when I really think back on it, for me, it was a big experience because the whole journey into fitness was just launched from this, kind of traumatic experience, and and a negative one at that, where somebody had labeled me as something, and I believed them, and it was, at that point, I remember reading like Flex magazines in my basement when I was younger, and I told my dad I wanted weights, and he was all about it because he was kind of like a man's man. And we built it. I got this little weight set, this old wider weight set, and I started lifting, and I had all the Flex magazines, and I was putting all these pictures of guys back then who were huge and bodybuilding up on the wall, and I was like, I want to be like this guy. I'm never gonna get called fat. I'm not fat. And and sure enough, by the time I was, but within like a year, I was actually a pretty sizable, large, strong kid. I was playing rugby, and around the age of like 16, 17, I actually started playing men's league, and I was invited to the provincial team. And then it became fitness for me transitioned from this place of insecurity. I was still extremely insecure, but it transitioned to this place of survival. I was playing rugby with these grown men who were large and strong and fast and had no mercy, no mercy at all. So I was like, if I'm gonna survive with these guys, like I gotta get big, man. I gotta fucking get big. Like, this is important now. It's no longer a place of insecurity. It's a place of fear. So anyway, it worked out a lot, and later on, played a lot of rugby and developed into other athletics, kickboxing, martial arts, and then only lately, as of lately, jujitsu and stuff like that. But it was funny because it was a highly traumatic experience, and it wasn't just about the experience. It was about overcoming that and gaining a little bit of self confidence. And what I started to notice is that when I was taking care of myself, and it's not even it started off as aesthetics, and it started off as like these fear based reactions to these attacks. But the older I got, the more I started to realize that um, when I was able to transform my body, when I was able to have the discipline in the gym, that I would have discipline in other areas of my life. And that to me was really important. I started noticing that because I had that self confidence, my schooling got better. The way that I behaved got better because I started it started to transition from this insecurity thing into this place of confidence, and this place of me starting to realize that it wasn't just about curls for the girls. That when I could start to reshape my physique and I could start to conquer that one little part of my life, that I could also start to conquer other parts of my life, and that started to give me empowerment, and that And because I felt empowered by that, and because I started getting more confident, it grew from an aesthetic thing and a survival thing, because I was now big and I was now strong and I could play rugby with those guys and I could take care of myself. And Flector wasn't going to pull me off that bus and dump me in the snow, God damn it, ever again. So pardon my cursing. So I just noticed that because it was something that I was able to get a hold of, that I started to become a lot more disciplined in other areas of my life. And then that discipline led to confidence. And then that confidence led me to be a truer version of myself, because I stopped caring less. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still super insecure like anybody else. Guys who work out in the gym, and women as well, particularly, guys who are in really good shape. Not that I'm in really good shape, I'm in good shape. Are the most insecure people you'll ever meet, and the most self-critical people you'll ever meet. But I just started to realize that if I could conquer that one little aspect of my life, there wasn't any other aspect of my life that I couldn't conquer. And it was empowering, and it was cool, and it's just, I guess what I'm trying to say is that wherever you are in your journey, or however, whatever stage you're at in your journey, you really got to focus on your reasons for doing it. And it's funny, because your reasons for doing it and your reasons for maintaining it are going to eventually mature over time. It's going to go from a place of self-doubt and a place of, uh, of not really liking yourself to to a confidence builder, and to a place where you realize that you can be just a truer version of yourself, because you are confident, you are powerful, you are strong, you are in command of your destiny, and you are in command of your own life. And if you can conquer that one little aspect, you can conquer the rest of it. And because you start to care less about what people think, you can be a truer version of yourself. You can become a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for to put it softly? You become, I guess, a little bit more assertive, and that's not a bad thing, as long as it comes from your heart and it doesn't come from your ego. Um, I think that I think that everybody's journey is a little bit different, and everybody is kind of along, a different way. But you really have to define your reasons for doing this, and you have to define the things that make you happy about your victories, so that you can ultimately enjoy your victories a little bit more. And I think that as I mature, my reasons for doing this mature. Went from, you know, uh, damn Flector to okay, yeah, I can do this. I can control my health. I can control the way I feel. To curls for the girls. To now, it's more about discipline for me, and it's more about self confidence. And the older I get, the more mature I get, the more it becomes about working out to be more confident, so I can be a truer version of myself. So I'm not as blinded by all of the negativity, or all of the naysaying, or all the people in your life who are telling you can't. You know what I mean? The reason why I do it now is because I want to feel confident in myself, so that I can be myself, man. So that I don't have to put up barriers. I don't have to put up blinders. I don't have to put up blocks. I don't have to impress anybody, and I can just be me. And if somebody doesn't like me, and this isn't like one of those things where it's like some passive aggressive BS. This is like me saying, like, if somebody doesn't like you for who you are and you feel confident about yourself, it doesn't matter as much. So you can just be a truer version of yourself, and you can lead a better life ultimately. You know what I mean? And I think that it's really important to define your reasons for your fitness journey, and define your reasons for taking control, and celebrate the little victories along the way, and celebrate the victories and the evolution of your fitness on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of that, a lot of it comes from a lot of it is developed into, rather, in the sense that if I'm able to continue to develop myself here, I can develop other skills. The beautiful thing about being entrepreneurs is that you have to learn a lot of skills, and you have to consume a lot of information. So now um, I found myself not just worrying about getting a better body, but also getting a better brain, and trying to be a better person, and trying to recognize fear-based behaviors that are built into us from the kind of, and I'm going to swear a little bit, I'm sorry, but from the kind of shit that other people fling at you and that stick to you, and you start to believe. It's learning to separate yourself from the bullshit, so that you can become a truer version of yourself. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think that that's ultimately my reason for getting into fitness. Like I think that it's important in a world where you're told, how to breathe, how to act, who to be, what to wear, what to say, what to think. I think that independence and self-confidence is a beautiful thing. And I think that in order to achieve that kind of thing, um, fitness is just one way to sharpen those skills to lead to a greater picture, to lead to a more complete you and a more real you. I notice that the more confident I become, the less of an asshole I am. You know what I mean? Because all these negative behaviors that you exhibit tend to come from a place of insecurity. And I'm not perfect, man. I'm learning every single day. But going to the gym and my fitness journey um, and the quest for just being a little bit better every day also propels me to be a little bit better in other areas of my life, to be smarter, to be kinder, more considerate, to get more skills, to learn more, to seek education, to try to empower other people. And I say that loosely because I don't think of myself as like a fitness icon per se. I think of myself as I always talk to the guys and I always say like, hey, I'm here to guide your journey, because if I sit here and I tell you that I know everything and I'm the man and what I say goes and this is how it is, then you're probably training with the wrong person because everything just changes so quickly and science changes so quickly and so many different there's so many different studies that are coming out every day that disprove everything that we thought yesterday was right. So you've got to be pliable, you've got to be flexible, and you've got to be prepared to learn. You can't be stuck in your ways. So that's one of the if I'm able to try to talk to people and just really get them to focus on why they're doing this and maybe ultimately help with their success and try to steer the conventional like meathead thinking away from being the most jacked guy out there to being to being in good shape, but in pursuit of a better me, not just physically as a whole, then I think that that's a victory. So anyway, a little bit of mumbo jumbo for the day. Here's a weekly challenge for you, and I'd love to know what you guys think. And I'd love to see you guys do a video on it because that's one way that I know for a lot of people it's uncomfortable. For me, it's not. Maybe I like to hear myself talk. I don't know. But also, I've done a lot of public speaking. I was in health and safety in oil field, so I used to speak regularly in front of 1,000 people who really did not want to hear me say anything. So you get pretty good at just kind of doing your thing and just being who you are and not really worrying about the rest. And eventually people come around. So if you have a video or you want to post a video on what you did, but my weekly challenge to you guys this week is going to be a pay it forward challenge. I just, if you could do one thing this weekend, it doesn't have to be like a big victory. And there's not necessarily a prize for this. Sandy and I are going to do some prize challenges coming up here, but there's not a prize for this, but just as a way of kind of thinking about fitness as a transformative thing where we're able to do good not only for ourselves but for the people around us by empowering ourselves to be a little bit more confident and being able to reach out and put ourselves in weird situations. The challenge that I'm giving to you guys of the week is to a pay it forward challenge. And a pay it forward challenge could be as simple as paying for somebody's coffee behind you in line and slipping out the door. This isn't going to be like a big brag session. That's not what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't want it to turn into this thing like I am the greatest, but just something you did this week to brighten somebody else's day selflessly, and hopefully that would be because of some of the confidence that you're gaining, working on your fitness and doing this challenge, right? Just something small, and you can either do a post in the group for the Pay It Forward challenge. I'm going to do it as well. Or if you want to do a video, I'd love to see you guys do a video because I think that public speaking is a good skill and it's a good way to develop yourself and deal with one of the most common fears of all of humankind, which is public speaking. So I dare you to do a video. I definitely would love to see you guys do the challenge. Just one quick thing that you do during this week and then post about it. That was kind of like a pay it forward thing, and it can be unique, it can be interesting, it can be really generic. It could be a donation to the food bank, but just something that you did to pay it forward, and then just a little post on it, and then just if we can kind of build a little bit more of a consciousness through some of the confidence that we're gaining doing this challenge, and through some of the confidence that we're gaining, doing some of the stuff that we're doing. And then if you really want to step it up, as I said, do a movie. I'd love to see that. Just a quick, 2-minute movie inside the group. Do that, but pay it forward challenge. So 1, 2, 3, go. You're it. I hope you guys have an amazing night. I hope everything's going well. And thanks for doing you. Thanks for joining us on this. And life is good. Got some big things coming up, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. Bye.